It's uncompromising, addictive and often unforgiving, with an adrenaline rush like no other. There is no practice, no second chances. It's the ultimate motorsport competition on gravel. It is rally, and this is the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship. Welcome to South Australia and the fourth round of the National Championship. I'm Greg Rust. Be prepared. It's the Scout motto, and nothing could be more true this weekend as the weather looks set to play havoc with teams preparing for three separate heats of competition. We're moving into the second half of the season, and Scott Pedder in the Walkinshaw Renault ensured the battle will be drawn by closing the gap on championship leader Brendan Reeves in the Rally School Mazda. Team Citroën has a fight amongst itself, with Tony Sullins and Adrian Coppin facing off again this round for third on the championship leaderboard. And after missing Queensland, Alan Rowe will be looking to make some ground this event. After a slow start to the season, things came together for Scott Pedder and Dale Moscott last round with a clean sweep of the Armour All Power stage and both heats of the rally. They need to repeat that result to stay in the hunt.
I feel pretty comfortable in the car, and we've got a little bit more left in us if we need to, and I think we've got some pace over Brendo. Hopefully he fires a shot this afternoon and we can have a close battle.
Brendan Reeves and Rhiannon Gelsomino played a measured hand in Queensland, and although surrendering championship points, brought the Mazda home without risk or incident. Even running second to Pedder this weekend will mean an almost dead heat at the end of the event.
Yeah, we're definitely wanting to push on this rally. Like Scott got a couple of points on me this morning, brings the lead back to 14, I think. So today's only 3 stages, but 20 points on offer. That's a key day for us, so we've got to push on, see how we go today, and it's going to be anyone's rally.
Tony Sullins and Julia Barkley made huge advances last round and should be looking to capitalise on that to get the edge over their teammates. The first step in chasing down the front runners.
Same. A bit more. Hopefully I'm a bit closer to the guys in front, and I haven't had the incentive to keep pushing.
Adrian Coppin and Tim Batten will need to extend themselves to avoid the threat from within, and some overseas experience between rounds might just be what's needed.
I went to Europe and just got back the other week. It was really good over there. I was with the team I'm going to go run with in Germany when I go back after this. So for me, it's a lot of time in the car coming up with this event. Germany after, rally straight after that. So yeah, hopefully the more bumping seat we get is going to really help me.
And the Warhope Warrior is buoyed on by a good result in Queensland. He's here with his new engine and ready for action.
It's just like a whole new car I've got to try and relearn, and I'm itching to get out there, but at the same time I'm sort of, shit, how hard do you push?
The Armour All Power stage was unchanged from last year, but the same couldn't be said for the weather. As expected, Pedder and Reeves dominated the top 2 positions, the Renault with the upper hand over the Mazda. Adrian Coppin surprised everyone, getting much closer than expected to the 2 leaders and snatching the bonus point for third. Sullins settled for 4th, with Michael Bowden 5th. Interestingly, it was the wildcard entry of Alan Rowe who topped the high-tech oil speed trap at 152 k's an hour. Right now, they're getting set for the first of 3 heats here in the hills surrounding Adelaide.
Now, it's not only the Scouts Rally running this weekend, but it's also the creeks. Overnight rain has seen these roads become slippery and unpredictable. But when they leave the forest, they'll be running on fast-flowing Shire roads. I believe they are the best maintained roads in Australia. As far as the competition goes, it's hot, 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 especially up the front. Brendan Reeves lost another 2 points to the hard-charging Scott Pedder early today in the Armour All Power stage. That means there's only 14 points between the leaders. It's going to be up to Brendan Reeves to do the business in this event. As far as the other crews wanting to be on the podium, the teams of Citroën, VW and Ford, of course, want to be there. Also, the other car that is not registered but is a hometown favourite, the hard-charging Jack Monkhouse.
Jack's not registered for the championship this year, but is flying the flag for the event's major sponsor this weekend. Dean caught up with him earlier at the VIP rides.
It's fantastic to have the support of Scouts here, particularly at Rally SA, and it's been a great opportunity to give some of our Scouts members a VIP run with Jack Monkhouse. You're in the VIP supported car, and Amber, you're a Scouts adventurer. Your first time in a rally car. How was it alongside this guy?
I was so scared, but it was fantastic. I would do it any day. It was brilliant.
And now you get to do so much stuff with the Scouts, and I mean, this is an awesome opportunity to come out here in the Mount Crawford Forest and have them do something completely different. It just sort of fits in with the motto for you guys, doesn't it?
Yeah, be prepared, like, you know, do it all. It's fantastic. This is really doing everything to the max, and oh my gosh.
How'd she go, Jack? Could she fit in as a co-driver for future rallies, maybe?
Yeah, she's a little bit quiet, but I guess we had a bit of a small spin on the second corner, and it was very slippery out there, so the car was all over the shop, and it probably wasn't my best driving we've ever seen, but we got through to the end, and yeah, thanks to Scouts for getting on board and getting me into the rally.
Big clip, 3 right, wet.
And that rally begins right now with 3 short, sharp stages totalling 25 kilometres. With 20 points on offer, that's an attractive incentive.
50.
Scott Pedder took up the way he left the last round, foot to the floor. The Walkinshaw Renault was stopping for nothing, not even the standing water that was much worse than in recce.
Immediate 4 right sharp.
Changing track conditions is an accepted part of rallying, and teams take it in their stride.
20.
Wipers, though, are critical to any changes in weather, and the Rally School Mazdas give up at just the wrong time.
Flat gate.
Pedder grabs an early 9-second advantage over Reeves, but the challenge for second is coming hard and fast from Jack Monkhouse in the Scouts Nissan, just a second behind.
Water in dip. 200.
The Citroens are well off the pace, another 7 seconds adrift. Sullins still the faster of the factory pair.
200.
Narrows, breaking brow, into caution, narrow 5 left.
Junior Challenge aspirant Guy Tyler's start to his home rally is less than ideal. The Renault Clio suffering engine dramas early on.
We've got big problems, have we? That's as far as we're going.
If SS1 was slippery, then SS2, Baines Gully, is worse. Pedder again, consistently fastest despite the waterlogged road. Monkhouse drops time. The rear-wheel drive Nissan losing ground in the slippery conditions. But no doubt, looking good for the crowd.
Short left 6 over crest. Into short right 6.
Sullins is beaten to 4th by his teammate in the Citroën after hitting hard mid-stage. Coppin is half a second a K quicker.
50.
Michael Bowden swaps places with Alan Rowe, this stage 6 in front. The Warhope Warrior settling into the increased horsepower in the VW. The Wipers somehow fix themselves and help Reeves and Gelsomino to the narrowest of stage wins.
Short
Meantime, things are fogging up on the inside for Pedder and Moscott.
Short 8 left, in over brown, neat, narrow gate, neat, narrow gate, 80, open your window.
Still, Scott Pedder is nonplussed, with Reeves taking the stage win by 0.6.
Yeah, pretty casual in that one. Just had a bit of a demister issue, actually. Yeah, like this car is just so bloody good to drive. It does everything well. The braking on it's unbelievable. It's really steady in the fast stuff, and we've got some good power now. So you know, we are just cruising. We've got plenty more left.
Tony Sullins plays second fiddle again to Adrian Coppin, erring on the side of caution.
I reckon Adrian might have beaten us through there.
Yeah.
I was pretty careful. It's been a long while since, not a long while, but it's been a while since I've been down here, and just needed to have a look.
Fortunately for Michael Bowden, his screen isn't fogging up, as he wrestles with a most unusual problem. A course car on the road that isn't letting him past. Bowden is not impressed.
There's a four-wheel drive, just wouldn't pull over. We followed him for probably, I don't know, what would it be, kilometre and a half. Mate, I was copping rocks. I had the horn on the blower, the lights on, flashing him. I could have snorted him a few times, but I'd do too much damage to my car.
The damage on the leaderboard looks like this after Heat 1. Pedder a half a second a K quicker over Brendan Reeves, with Jack Monkhouse trailing him by just 7 seconds. The Citroens of Coppin and Sullins are staying in touch on what's been a short heat start to Scouts Rally SA. Brendan Reeves is hoping his game plan for this rally will pan out.
Scott's really pushing on the entries. I'm trying to nail the exits and the apex. I don't know whose is the best way, but we'll probably look after our tyres a bit more, doing it beyond a cleaner line.
We'll find out right after the break. You're watching the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship. Scouts Rally SA is split over 3 heats, and fortunately for everyone, Heat 2 dawns bright and clear, but the mercury hasn't broken zero.
Everything seems to be coming relatively easy, but this sport bites pretty hard, so you can't get too complacent, and we just need to keep constant training and keep driving as we are.
Like Pedder, Brendan Reeves has also had a big crash here in the past, but today there's only one thing on his mind.
We've got to keep the pressure on early, pushing hard. The car's finally defrosted now, so it's ready to go this morning. It's pretty cold, sort of 0 degrees, and that's the normal thing in South Australia, but 14 degrees forecast for today, so a lot warmer. Looking keen to use a few more of the Kumo tyres out there today. We've got the same that we ran yesterday because they just didn't wear it all in the cold yesterday. So yeah, ready to fire up and get out there and hopefully put on a good show.
Jumping Jack Monkhouse isn't in the championship fight and can't wait to get on the road.
This car in Shire Roads is second to none. It's just an absolute thrill to drive and to watch too. So really looking forward to them. We'll get through these forest stages, just a bit of caution for the rough stuff, I guess, and just really concentrate on trying to read the road and try and pick the slippy bits from the grippy bits and not make any mistakes.
It begins with a repeat of the Heat 1 stages, but 2 of them in the reverse direction. If Pedder was watching over his shoulder as he stormed to another stage win through Jules, he was probably surprised by who was there.
120.
It wasn't Brendan Reeves, but Jack Monkhouse, who had the Scouts Nissan within a hair's breadth of taking the stage. 0.2 of a second is all that separated the Clio and the Sylvia. Brendan Reeves is a second a kilometre off the pace, struggling to get the tyres up to temperature. Sullins surrenders more time to the field after softening up the suspension to help handling.
Right, 5.5.
It's a conservative start for he and Julia Barkley. Alan Rowe and Steve Glennie sneak the Dayco Ford Focus in front of the Citroen. But Michael Bowden has repaired an engine heating issue and is starting to claw his way back. 5th in stage, but 5 behind the Coppin Citroen.
Unbeknownst to us, and now that it's shown its head, it looks like a breather system problem. We pulled it all apart in the 2-hour service last night, and wow, how does this work? This is just a disaster. So we've replumbed it and put it into a different can and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think we're on the right track. It's just eliminating little things at a time, and it's frustrating, Ball, really.
Guy Tyler rejoins this morning with the engine sorted, but sadly his troubles aren't over. Tyler and Damien Reid are forced to endure a slow third gear start, the only cog operating in the gearbox.
This is 105 right.
Setup is becoming the popular topic in the paddock. Brendan Reeves not happy with the Mazda on turn-in, making it hard to apex corners accurately. A split second late here and there is all it takes, and Monkhouse is jumping all over the championship field. Home second in stage again, even after missing the keep right over crest.
Doesn't quite open that far.
I didn't keep right, my bad.
Alan Rowe also pays the price for bad apexing. Off the hard surface, the track is a quagmire in places and grabs at the wheels. Tony Sullins lifts his Citroen to within a second of his teammate, and that despite misjudging just where the road should be over a crest.
Oh, there's no road there. Oh, left 4.
Through SS7, Baines Gully reverse though, Monkhouse is bumped back to 4th by Sullins and Barclay. It's only by 0.4 that the Scouts Nissan splits the two Citroens.
Turn 3 right in.
For Alan Rowe though, the brakes are on his rally early. Cracked rotors keeping him in service for the remainder of the day.
100.
Up front, Pedder is still holding Reeves at bay by half a second a kilometre.
4 right clip.
But the rally school driver is subtly tweaking the setup to bring better grip.
The good signs in the last stage, I softened the shocks a little bit. I couldn't change the ride heights, didn't have the time to do that, but the softness gave me a little bit more traction on front and rear, and we're only just off Scott on that one.
We've always had that pace in us, and we've just had some bad luck and a car that's probably hasn't been as good as it is now. Shy roads, obviously they're fantastic, and but the gap won't be as big because there's longer straights, and seconds per kilometre will come down.
In their first season, Citroen has been trailing the leading Mazda and Renault. That's not something that worries the team boss, Ron Kremen. For Citroen and all manufacturers, in fact, the sport of rallying is perfect for their product.
Rallying in particular is a great sport of man and machine against the element, and I don't see there can be no greater sort of platform to work off. And I think for those reasons, manufacturers look and turn to rallying because it is a very, very tough sport.
It will only get tougher this afternoon as crews move onto the long open Shire roads of Goldfields and Tweeden. Coming up in just a few moments from Scouts Rally SA.
Late. 8 right over brow. 50.
Welcome back. We're midway through Heat 2 from Round 4 of the East Coast Bullbars Australian Championship. Scott Pedder holds a 20-second lead over Brendan Reeves as the competition shifts to the open Shire roads in the wine-growing region of Lindop.
Not a lot of tyre wear.
Yeah, I just didn't know because now we're going into a 31k stage. It's just interesting to see what the tyres do, but there's good grip in the road in there. It's a lot of fun, but I think I still didn't push hard enough, but it certainly wakes you up that stage, that's for sure.
But Jack Monkhouse is trying to be the party spoiler. He's not registered for series points, but he is gunning for rally bragging rights, and justifiably too. Third in stage, behind Pedder and Reeves.
The stage time is irrelevant right now. That stage is just 110% tip top. Just doesn't get any better. Love this car. When it's nice to meet.
The Warhope Warriors climb back into contention is slowed when second gear goes in the sequential gearbox, and he nurses the VW to the end of stage. It will be an early service for the Bowdens. Tony Sullins has the measure of Adrian Coppin, half a second a kilometre quicker. Moving back to his setup from Heat 1 has provided the confidence to push on, and the battle in the Citroen camp continues. Coppin 4, Sullins 3. At 32 kilometres, Tweeden is the longest stage in the event. Pedder and Moscott are dialed in. The Walkinshaw Renault stretches its legs to break the two-wheel drive stage record set by Eli Evans in the Honda Jazz. Reeves is again half a second a kilometre slower than Pedder through SS10. If there wasn't a difference in horsepower in the early rounds of this season, a pattern is now suggesting perhaps there is. The Scouts Nissan arrives at the first major hairpin to the awaiting crowd. It's quintessential Jack. Early setup, throw the car sideways and power through the corner to everyone's delight. Coppin is next on the road, and while not as flamboyant, the Citroen makes good time to what's known as Brendo's Crest, the site of Brendan Reeves' huge crash 5 years ago. He's slower than Pedder for sure, by more than 30 seconds, but he never makes the finish.
Oh, who is it?
Jack Monkhouse has crashed, ending up on the very same tree that stopped Reeves in 2009. Monkhouse and Darren Masters have safely escaped the car, but the ruptured fuel tank feeds raw fuel all over the hot engine, and the car that has provided so much entertainment for so many is pretty soon no more.
Carbs cars, no drama with that. It's just a financial loss, but it did a perfect job and looked after us. And unfortunate, because obviously we weren't here to win the rally, we were here to just enjoy it. And as you saw at the end of Goldfields, we were having a bowl. It's just unfortunate there's a rock on that apex, and that was the end of it. It's a caution line left over crest, jump, and you have to start out wide and then turn early to turn before the corner so you don't hit the bank. And there's just a big rock in it that we didn't see. Obviously we're doing close to 180, 90 kilometres an hour there. And it's just hit the rock and basically jumped and landed on the driver's door on its side and hit the first tree head on, but sort of on its side. So it's actually the passenger's headlight is up in 6 foot in the tree, and then the car's sort of rolled and spun and reversed into Brendo's tree at a massive rate of knots, and spun and ended up upside down. And we got out fairly quickly, and it was filling up with fuel, so I reached in to turn the battery off, and it was up. Nothing to do. There's no point grabbing an extinguisher. It was all over.
Understandably, the remainder of the heat is disrupted, and once the crew is given the medical all clear, the rally moves on to Gawler for the super special stages run under lights later in the evening. Perhaps the crowd didn't know what they were missing without Jumping Jack. The crew sure did, and the mood was subdued in the twilight. 3 sprint runs around the Gawler Oval in front of a huge home crowd eager to see what all the fuss was about. For Guy Tyler, the day has been spent in third gear, and that hasn't made his life easy, but he's finished, and that's more than a few in the ARC can boast. For Scott Pedder, it's a formality, winning the first sprint before easing off the pace to ensure he doesn't take any risks.
It's actually a really fun stage, going from tarmac onto the gravel on the last jump. It's full credit to the event. They've done a really good job with this stage. But yeah, it's one of those stages where you want to be fast to try and beat all the four-wheel drives and put on a show, but you don't want to throw away the heat as well.
The state competition continues into the night. For the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship, though, it's a wrap. Another opportunity for Brendan Reeves tomorrow with a third heat on offer. The internal tussle in the Citroen camp continues, with Guy Tyler grabbing points for 5th, thanks to the demise of many cars in the main competition. We'll be back with the final heat of the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship, but not before we see all the action in the Australian Side-by-Side Challenge. That's coming up in just a few moments. Watching the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship, coming to you from Scouts Rally SA. For the first time, the Australian Side-by-Side Challenge has come to South Australia. Polaris and Can-Am, both with their new machines and both ready to do battle in the forest and on the Shire roads. Flying the flag for Polaris, Cody Crocker took first blood in the Razor 1000, but not from his nemesis Michael Guest in the new Can-Am Maverick. Another 1000X powered by Nathan Shivers. Ian Hughes suffered a broken drive belt in his Polaris 1000 and was temporarily sidelined while his opposition raced by. Unfortunately, Nathan Shivers passed his Can-Am stablemate Michael Guest, also stranded with a broken drive belt and forced into early service. Goldfields was the first taste of South Australia's magnificent Shire roads, and both side-by-sides were stretched to top speed. With Guest back in and the weather on the improve, the stage pressure was back on Cody Crocker.
You've guess the good thing is we're keeping him behind us. That's a good thing. But I think he had a belt go today in one of the water splashes. Maybe it's sort of a bit of a shock load or something through the system. So again, touch wood, we haven't had that problem. But we'll keep battling on. But I think he's done a pretty quick time in that last stage there. So he's back in action.
Rejoin the rally. That's probably one of the best stages in the whole championship. There, Goldfield is just a fantastic stage. And I'm not sure on the times, but I'm pretty sure we might have the quickest time through there, which is pretty cool.
He didn't have the quickest time. That was Crocker's. But the next stage, Tweeden, they both suffered the same fate.
Yeah, broke a drive belt. We changed that, but then it's something a bit more terminal, I'm afraid. Another belt.
Last season, Nathan Shivers had teamed up with his father, Les. But this year, they've split the team and it's a family battle. The younger Shivers showed the advantage his experience behind the wheel had brought him. Neither Can-Am could match the Polaris of Ian Hughes through the remaining afternoon stages. But his broken drive belt in the first stage of the day meant a 1-2 finish for the father and son duo, back under lights at the super special stage. Although Les might have had luck on his side. A near miss with a kangaroo next morning threatened to end Cody Crocker's day early. But he and Greg Folletta continued on to lead the way home each stage. Standing Water still making life in the side-by-sides less than comfortable. Michael Guest stayed close to Crocker through the morning stages and almost had his measure by SS19.
We're having a ball, but it's pretty cold. And then you go through a big water splash and your gloves get wet and everything gets wet, so then you start getting really cold. But it's awesome fun. I think Guesty got us on that stage by 0.2 of a second, so there's certainly some fight left in him, and we're going to fight it all the way to the end.
There's a bit of conjecture about the time, but it was pretty close anyway. So yeah, look, it's nice. We had our finally got our upgrade for this event, which is the bigger wheel diameter and the bigger brakes. So it's nice to have the right sort of brakes that you need for this sort of rallying. And yeah, some bad luck yesterday, but today, touch wood, stages are going nice and clean, and he's not too far in front, and these guys aren't that far behind. So it's nice to have a bit of a race.
Reflecting on a long time between drinks, Nathan Shivers basked in the glory of a heat win.
It's been a long while, yeah. Since probably colder, I got something there, but yeah, it's good to get it. I mean, unfortunately, a few of the guys had belt issues, but yeah, I'll take it.
And he wasn't the only one to collect some silverware. Ian Hughes took out second in Heat 1 in his new, faster Razor 1000.
Well, this is the first rally I've done in it, so it's got a lot more grunt. Handling still got a lot of work to do, I think. They are designed to go across sand dunes and whoops and bumps. But as for handling, once we get that sorted, I think it's going to be an awesome machine.
On the Shire roads east of Adelaide, Crocker continued to dominate. But both Shivers and Hughes were making life hard for Michael Guest. Through Man 5, the Polaris driver edging out Guest by 0.1 of a second over 10 kilometres. The weekend winner was Nathan Shivers, with credit to co-driver Adam Tillett for delivering expert pace notes to keep the Can-Am on track. First in Heat 1 and third in Heat 2 was enough to give them top spot. Michael Guest was on track for second in Heat 2 behind Crocker in the super special stage at Gawler, but he was left stranded when the battery shorted out, dropping him to fourth. So, Ian Hughes and David Piper finished bridesmaid for 2 heats in a row. That was enough to give them second for the weekend, behind Nathan Shivers and Adam Tillett. Cody Crocker did salvage something for Polaris, winning the inaugural Gawler Cup from the top 10 fastest times around the Super Special. Crocker and Folletta held out all the competition, including 2- and 4-wheel drive, to accept the inaugural trophy from Gawler Mayor Brian Samble at Scouts Rally SA. Next up, the action continues in Heat 3 of the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship. But first, Dean Herridge has some tyre tips from Kumo.
One of the things you learn very early on in your rally career is how important tyre pressures are. And I'm in the middle of the stages here at Scouts Rally South Australia and with Scott Pedder. Scott, you guys constantly between stages are setting and changing tyre pressure to try and get that optimum performance, aren't you?
Yeah, well, there's 2 reasons. Obviously, you want to try and make sure that there's air in all 4 tyres, so you're looking for any leaks. But more importantly, you're looking for a tyre pressure that provides the best grip. You want maximum grip. Try and run them as low as you possibly can for a rally car, different for a road car. to try and make the footprint of the tyre as wide as you can get. Obviously try not to go too low that you're going to risk getting a puncture.
The other thing is that you're actually monitoring the hot temperature as well, not just a cold start temperature. It's about trying to optimise it at its peak performance.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. You know, you obviously know when you set them hot where they're going to be cold, and you know, obviously the hot temperature as your hot pressure is more important because that's where you're going to get the grip.
Exactly, and of course trying to stay out of punches. As Scotty said there before, it's just as critical for your road tyre at home. If you need any tips on what you should be running your tyre pressures at, there should be a plaque or a sticker on the B pillar, and of course, don't forget the spare.
You're watching the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship, coming to you from the wine region of South Australia. It's a frosty morning at Mount Pleasant where teams gather to begin their third and final heat of Scouts Rally SA. Pedder's domination is at the forefront of Reeves' mind. The pair is neck and neck in the championship, so he must make a move now. Yesterday's less than satisfactory heat performance hasn't helped.
We made changes at every service, but it was hard to really apply them because there were stages getting cancelled and held up. So we think we've got it right now. We've got a better turn in for the apex so we can keep the car flowing at the exit, but we'll see how it goes in these first couple of stages.
Pedder is not on Tony Sullivan's mind. His is more about coming to terms with just how fast his car is travelling.
We're like flat in top gear and the road's as wide as a car and that's it. And mentally you've got to be able to go, okay, I've got my line, I know what's going to happen, and if the car slides, you haven't got a 5-acre paddock to slide into, you've got a big tree to hit. So, you know, mentally you've got to be able to just know the car's going to be there for you when you land after the jump or whatever it happens to be, and you know that's a big part of rallying.
He must have talked himself into it. Sullins has never driven the Chroma special stage, but is third fastest.
Break early 50, danger. 6 right 30, turn square right narrow.
Brendan Reeves and Rhiannon Gelsomino show they mean business. Total commitment, no room for anything, especially error.
50, flat 8 left short, 40.
Scott Pedder and Dale Moscott demonstrate beyond doubt the commitment required to run at the top of the game. This is the same stage that all but ended Scott's career 4 years ago, but there is no sign of that being an issue.
And 8 left over brow, 50.
Somehow Michael Bowden has the VW back on song after rebuilding the gearbox overnight.
We've got a ratio in there, it's probably not the right ratio, and it's not the same as what was in there, but it gets us going for today, get a bit more time in the car, and it's only second gear, so we'll just make sure we're above that.
Clear brow, 7 left down.
He's not above either Citroen, but he is in front of Alan Rowe, who's lucky to be back in the final heat after having to borrow brake parts.
We thought we were out, we're trying to source them elsewhere, but anyway, Brendo's team lent us a couple of rotors that they had of their spares, so we've put those on and got it sorted, so she's all good.
Rowe and Steve Glennie are only 1.5 seconds behind Bowden and Cheers, but their best comes next stage. The fourth pass of Jules, where the speedo in the Dayco Focus touches 200.
Took 20 seconds off your first run through there.
Sullins also posts his best time, 4 seconds better than any of his previous runs. His teammate pays the price for cutting a corner.
Missing. Yeah, it's all right, pick up.
The air intake on the Citroen is in the lower right-hand front quarter of the car, and the engine drops temporarily onto 2 cylinders. As it does in rallying, one thing leads to another. Coppin and Batten make a mistake next stage, trying to pull back the Citroen lead, jeopardising their weekend podium.
Yeah, third. We'd had obviously third heat 1 and third heat 2, so it was looking like for a good weekend. We weren't doing anything silly, it was just one of those things, unfortunately. We were just carrying too much speed in, and so we just outbraked myself and just on the brakes and understeered, and it was sort of not much, so we got off the brakes, but it was off the side of the road and too late.
Pedder and Moscott win SS19 and 20, the repeat of 40s. The 13.5k stage using the Mount Crawford Forest roads is the second pass in this direction.
Right on crump, sharp dip.
The pair is running at a pace 1 second a kilometre quicker than their previous pass over this stage.
8 right 30, turn 4 right on crest wide, fast.
Brendan Reeves is hot on his heels. The changes in setup helping, but still trailing by half a second a kilometre. Remember though, even second this weekend will leave them with the slightest margin in the championship race.
7 right.
Something broke.
Oh, crap.
Brendo concludes the car can make it back to service, critical to his weekend position and the points haul that comes with it. Tony Sullins is next on the road behind him.
He's got no back left wheel.
And the Citroen is closing in. Service can't come too soon for the Rally School Mazda. No doubt Sullins has been slowed getting to the finish, but Michael Bowden takes the break. A clean run for the Warhope Warrior slingshots him into second in stage. A huge boost for a team working so hard to get their car on the pace. With just 20 minutes of service, the entire rear beam in the Mazda 2 must be replaced. It's payback time for their team for helping to keep Scott Pedder in the mix at round 1 in Canberra. The Walkinshaw Renault service crew are on the job as soon as they can to get Reeves back in the game. All the while, Cam's technical manager, Barry Habgood, is watching proceedings with an eagle eye.
I'm mainly keeping my eye on it from a road safety point of view rather than an eligibility point of view. We worry about that afterwards, but we do need to make sure this car is safe and roadworthy when it goes out.
All going well, it will be going out for the final stages in the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship, and that's coming up right after the break.
In between each of the rounds of the East Coast Bullbars Australian Championship, our teams aren't just relaxing at home, they're actually getting some international experience, even to the point that our last year's champ, Eli Evans and Glenn Weston, are off doing some of the European Rally Championship. For some of our guys from this year, we've got Scott Pedder here, who's doing some international events, mate. Last time, between Queensland and here, you've gone off to China. Fantastic experience.
Oh, look, it was. I've done some international stuff in the past with Asia Pacifics and World Championship stuff here in this region, but to go and do an event in China, desert rally, different car, it was mind-blowing.
Pedder's full-time co-driver Dale Moscott is about to jump ship to sit alongside Adrian Coppin shortly in Europe.
He doesn't have much experience yet. Obviously I've done a lot internationally and overseas and tarmac events and World Championship rounds.
Dale has a lot of experience, so I'm going to be learning as much as I can off him and bring that back here to use in Australia.
Brendan, of course, you've flown the Australian flag in the international rally before as part of the academy.
Yeah, sure I have, Dino. Getting that international experience helps a lot, especially when you come back home racing on home soil, but to go overseas and try different cars, work with bigger teams and different sorts of cars, especially the front-wheel drive cars, I got a lot of experience overseas with them.
Starting off in the Australian Championship in 2007 with Brendan has set me up to go do WRC 2011 and 12 and then do Rally America for the last couple of years. So I've been able to rally all over the world because of what I learnt here from, the ARC back all those years ago.
And Rhiannon's husband Alex should know how good Australia is. He sat alongside the likes of Ken Block in the WRC.
Those cars and those drivers are pushing 100%. So it's great to see. It's a great spectacle, and hopefully it can show some some top Australian drivers. They can do well in the World Championship as well in the years to come.
And if you'd like to see what rallying's all about, Rhiannon has just the answer.
Yeah, with Father's Day coming up, rallying's a great sport. It's a good thing that you can do. Buy your dad a Father's Day gift, come and do rally school. You can get in a car just like this, like what we run in the Australian Championship, and drive one of these amazing cars. So rallyschool.com.au is the place to go. You can get a rally experience there and have a great time in these cars.
Believe it or not, Rhiannon isn't on the payroll, but she's right. It's a great way to experience what happens in the East Coast Bullbars Australian Rally Championship.
Black crest again, 50.
Right now it's happening here at Scouts Rally SA on the final 2 Shire stages of the event. Hardly surprising that Scott Pedder is quickest across the honeysuckle stage. Remarkably though, the combined effort of Pedder's crew helping the Rally School Service team sees his main rival in the championship still in the competition. In fact, Reeves' time across the 10 kilometres is 0.7 behind Pedder. His only complaint is minor in the big scheme of things.
Just straighten my steering wheel up a bit with a bit of tape because that's a bit out, but the rest is good.
Right entry, 4 left over crest, don't cut.
With his third heat win well in the bag, Scott Pedder finally slackens off the pace. Reeves wins his 5th stage for the weekend. The remainder of the field trails behind them. On the score sheet, Michael Bowden is 6th through the Man 5 stage. But in reality, a mistake has been made, and he is in fact 3rd fastest. He and Helen Cheers don't pick the error because the fuel pump falters on the polo mid-stage, and it's all they can do to make the finish.
Stay left over crest, air, 50, crest middle, 150.
That might have been too much air for Alan Rowe's Ford Focus, and it's a take care to the finish, even over the notorious railway jump. Dunko reckons, though, that the drive of the day is young Guy Tyler, who, despite having just 1 gear, is giving it his all through the last main stage of the rally.
He's only got 3rd gear. He's the man.
Back in Gawler, the rally ends with a 1K sprint around the super special stage at the Oval. It's a case of just having to make the finish for Scott Pedder to claim his 3rd heat and overall rally win.
That feels very good. I've had some mixed feelings in this event. It's the first ARC I've ever won 9 years ago now, and obviously 4 years ago it almost ended my career. I thought it was all over, and you know, to come back now and win it here, it's pretty special.
Pedder, a decisive end to the rally, almost a minute in front of Tony Sullins. Although had Michael Bowden checked earlier, he would have grabbed the heat podium. As it is, Alan Rowe is in for his first heat podium, while Brendan Reeves will be very happy with points for 5th. Nathan Shivers collects the Kumo Spirit of the Rally Award for his performance in the Australian Side-by-Side Challenge. And Guy Tyler does qualify for the Junior Challenge final in Victoria later in the season. Maximum points for the 2nd event for Scott Pedder. Brendan Reeves, very lucky to salvage 62 and not be stranded in stage. Tony Sullins beats Adrian Coppin to 3rd, and Alan Rowe banks 24 points for 5th. A change in the championship leaderboard now sees Scott Pedder in front by 5 points. Adrian Coppin still holds down 3rd place over his teammate, and Alan Rowe is 5th on 100 points. That's it for Scouts Rally SA. We look forward to your company when teams regroup in New South Wales' premier rally destination, Coffs Harbour, for the Coates Hire Rally Australia. We hope you can join us there, and as always, for more information, check out the website rally.com.au. I'm Greg Rust. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Today's coverage is made possible by Kumo Tyre, Pedder Suspension, Armor, Coates Hire, Can-Am, Polaris, High-Tech Oils, and our supporting partner, East Coast Bullbars, world's best alloy bull bars.